Okay, this is part 2 of the wedding day workshop. So I'm going to start this part with talking about the importance of making a plan. And when you do this, you'll want to include the primary photographer, the couple, and the second shooter. It's important to make sure everyone will be on the same page for the upcoming wedding. Everything at a wedding happens very quickly. Your lighting, emotions of the couple and their families, and your surroundings. So you must have a plan in order for things to run smoothly. Discuss which photographer will cover the bride and which one will cover the groom, which photographer will cover the detail shots and which will cover candids, who will shoot the wedding party and family. Discuss it, poses you have planned, discuss your system, the way of doing things, who's better at giving direction, and always, always, always be early to a wedding, at least 30 minutes if at all possible. If you're late, believe me, they're never going to want to use you again for any reason, and as an employer, I wouldn't want to either. So when you arrive and before entering the church or the venue, stop outside and take a few wide angle shots of the church or venue. Next, find the bride and groom and greet them, let them know you're there, reintroduce yourself, and also you'll want to meet up with your other photographer, and this is really important. You'll want to sync your cameras. Every time you shoot with another photographer, sync your cameras as soon as you get there. And this will make it 1,000 times easier in post, and it'll make the flow go much more smoothly for the couple. So if you're the one that's going to be shooting the bride, stick with her and the bridesmaids. If you're going to be shooting the groom and groomsmen, find them and start taking some pictures. You can take some pictures of the groom alone as well as some with his groomsmen. You'll want to take a good mix of posed and candid shots and use a variety of lenses and angles. Typically, the groom and groomsmen don't take as long to get ready. So once you have a good mix of shots of them, like the getting ready, which you can totally stage those, it's no problem. You'll want to get some of them playing around, laughing, just interacting with each other. After you've gotten some of those, as well as some posed shots, now you can go take some shots of the areas that are already decorated. So you'll want to capture the details of the day, including the signage, the wedding decor, and candids of people working or preparing for the ceremony. Before the ceremony begins, you'll want to get in place and stay there if at all possible. You can take some candid shots of people being seated and talking, even when you're waiting for the ceremony to begin. So photographers should not at any time be in the spotlight on the wedding day. You want to try to make yourself invisible if you can. This is not about you. You don't want to be crossing in front of the crowd or the guest. Just stay out of the way as much as possible. If you need to go to the other side, go around, use the wings or the sides, aisles, and go all the way around so you can get on the other side. Don't ever go down the center aisle or cross in front of the guest and the bride and groom. Before the ceremony begins, one photographer should be stationed up front next to the front chair where the parents of the bride or groom are sitting. You can choose to be on the left or right, and the way that I usually decide which side I'm going to be on is I look at the background. If it's an outdoor wedding and there are cars in the background, if I'm on the left side and I'm shooting toward the right and I see cars, I'll move to the other side. Is it just trees on that side? So just keep the background in mind when you're deciding which side you're going to be on. You'll also want to get down low, either squat down or get down on one knee and kind of stay at a lower angle as you're shooting. Let's see. Never ever stand in the center aisle unless it's at the point where they're doing the first kiss as husband and wife, or possibly during the ring exchange. But even during those times, it should be very quick. Standing up in the center aisle, just it blocks people's view. So you'll always want to stay low. If you're in that center aisle or that center area, you'll either want to squat down or be on one knee. You can also stand all the way to the right or all the way to the left, out of the view of the guest, so you're not blocking anyone's view. And you can always shoot toward the bride and groom and, the entire wedding party. So the other photographer should be at the back of the aisle, behind the doors or curtains, wherever the wedding party is going to be entering. That's where the other photographer should be. So their job is to take photos of each person or couple, whatever it is, as they're about to proceed down the aisle. And then they'll be taking pictures from behind each person or couple as they walk down the aisle, focusing on the people who are already at the front. So that would be the groom, or even if it's the wedding officiant or minister, whatever it is. They'll want to get their faces as they're watching each person come down the aisle. They'll also want to stay either to the left or the right, not directly in the center, so that the photographer that's shooting from the front does not get in their way. You've really got to watch out for each other, and if you can see them, the other photographer, they can probably see you, and you're going to get each other in your shots, and you really just don't want that. You can always, move lower, move to the left or right, so that you're not in each other's shots. And if you see the other photographer as you're trying to shoot, adjust yourself. And if you can get their attention, you can ask them to move over to left or right or whatever. So we aren't trying to take pictures of each other. We're trying to take pictures of the wedding party. Next, you'll always want to ask permission ahead of time about going on the stage or platform or the area where the bride and groom are going to be standing. In some religions, in some, especially if it's a church wedding, it's not allowed. You're not allowed to walk up there at all. And so always just ask ahead of time. It's a courteous thing to do. Even if it is allowed, or like if it's an outdoor ceremony, going into the area where the bride and groom are standing during the ceremony should be a last resort. And it should be very, very limited, because once again, you're kind of putting yourself in the spotlight and you're obstructing the view of all the guests who are there to see the bride and groom, not to see the photographer. So one exception I make to this is it's a really fun shot, and it's something you can discuss ahead of time with the bride and groom and with the minister or wedding officiant. I do sometimes, if we've planned it ahead of time, I will kind of trade places with the minister or wedding officiant when the bride and groom do their first kiss. So I'll take a picture of them doing their first kiss with their guest behind them, so you can see all their expressions. And it's kind of a cool shot to get. But again, that would be something that you would only do if you had discussed it ahead of time and if everybody was good with it. So that's something, you can think about. Okay, I am going to stop right there. I apologize, I only covered one slide in this one, but I think that's